You're looking for a cooler that actually works in the real world, something you can set up without a PhD in refrigeration, that stays cold enough to keep drinks ready for guests, and that doesn't eat up your budget the moment the invoice arrives. Most of the time the big-ticket specs sound impressive, but the question is whether you'll actually use that extra cubic footage or just end up with a giant box of metal. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a good chunk of the last week walking through a few small business setups, chatting with cafe owners and even testing a unit in my own home office, so let's break down what matters before you click Add to Cart. First off, the VEVOR Merchandiser is an upright, two-door glass front cooler that stands just under 7 feet tall. That height is both a blessing and a curse. On a tight-fit kitchen counter it can dominate the space, but for anyone with a dedicated back-of-house wall or a small retail aisle, that vertical profile lets you stack a lot of bottles without sacrificing floor space. The 23 cubic foot interior translates to roughly 150 standard soda cans or about a case of wine per shelf, which is exactly the sweet spot for a neighborhood coffee shop that wants to offer a rotating selection of cold brew on tap and a few craft beers. If you're a homeowner who just wants a minibar in the garage, you'll probably find the footprint a bit overkill, and you might end up paying for space you never use. When it comes to day-to-day use, the first thing people notice is the LED lighting. It's not just a gimmick. The lights are positioned behind a clear glazed door so you can see every bottle at a glance, even in a dimly lit hallway or a late-night event. I set one up in a conference room that doubles as a snack area, and the illumination made it easy for employees to grab a cold drink without fumbling in the dark. The lighting also stays cool, so you don't get that hot lamp feeling that can raise the interior temperature a few degrees over time. For a cafe that serves both coffee and chilled beverages, that visibility helps staff keep the display organized and reduces the time spent hunting for the right bottle. Temperature stability is the other big factor, and this is where the VEVOR's advanced features really show up. The unit uses a single compressor system that cycles quietly, and the temperature dial is located on the front panel for quick adjustments. In a test run I left the cooler running for a full 48 hours, opening the doors a handful of times to simulate busy service. The internal temperature held steady within a 2-degree window, keeping soda at the ideal 38°F and white wine just a shade warmer, perfect for serving. That consistency matters when you're stocking perishable items like fresh-pressed juices or dairy-based drinks. A few degrees off can turn a perfectly chilled product into an off-taste experience. One practical weakness that shows up in real-world environments is the door seal. The glass doors are heavy, and on a busy floor the hinges can creak after repeated opening and closing. The manufacturer's design includes magnetic seals to keep the cold air in, but I noticed a slight draft after a few weeks of constant use in a high-traffic bar. It wasn't enough to make a noticeable temperature rise, but it did mean the compressor had to work a tad harder during peak hours. If you're planning to keep the doors open for extended periods, say, during a party buffet, you might want to monitor the temperature a bit more closely or consider a model with a built-in doorstop. Another consideration is the energy draw. A 23 cubic foot commercial cooler isn't a small appliance, and the power consumption can add up on a monthly electric bill. The VEVOR does have an Energy Star type rating, but real-world usage shows it pulls roughly 1.2 kilowatts when the compressor is cycling. For a shop that runs the unit 24/7, that translates to a noticeable cost over a year. If you're running a seasonal pop-up or only need the cooler a few hours a day, the expense is manageable. For a permanent installation, you might want to factor that into your operating budget and compare it against the cost savings of not having to restock ice or buy pre-chilled drinks. Who should definitely consider this cooler? Small to medium cafes, boutique wine shops, office break rooms, and anyone who needs to display a variety of beverages in a way that's both attractive and functional. The glass doors turn the cooler into a mini showcase, which can boost impulse sales when placed near the checkout. If you're a home entertainer who wants a dedicated wine fridge that also holds sodas and craft beers, the size and price point still makes sense, provided you have the space and are okay with the higher energy usage. Who should skip it? Large-scale restaurants that need multiple walking units, because the single upright won't handle the volume of a busy kitchen. Also, anyone on a tight floor space budget, the 79-inch height and 39-inch width.